Hey guys, welcome back to the Hybrid Athlete channel. I am Dr. Paul Rimmer, and today we're just going to do a quick training update, a little bit of a life update. What's been going on since the GB Cheshire 100 mile. If you didn't see my last video on that, I'll link it here. Basically had a bit of a hip and knee problem, so took a week off after that. Basically just chilled in my pants, watched films, ate some decent food, and then week after that started back on my third main training block of the year, which is what I would call kind of like a base hybrid program. By that, what I mean is it's a good balance between running volume and lifting volume. The overall program looks like 3 days lifting a week with 4 running sessions a week. And in the running sessions, 3 of those are bolted onto those resistance training sessions. So there's like a longer interval training session, which is kind of like 3 to 5 minute intervals with a little bit of recovery. For 20-30 minutes, building that up over time. There's a tempo kind of threshold run bolted onto another one, and then there's a sprint interval session bolted onto the other one, as well as a easy run each week. Now, I'm just entering week 3 of this, and I didn't just jump in straight into that program. So the first week 1, I just did the 2 strength sessions and 3 runs. So I did a tempo run, I did the interval run, and then an easy run, but the easy run was very short. Obviously, I'm still recovering from injury. After I stop running, that's when it kind of kicks in. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, really trying to figure out what's going on. The first week was basically the first upper body session and lower body session with an interval session, a tempo run, and a easy run of a weekend. But with that, there was a few residual issues with the hip and the knee, so I took it really easy. Week 2, 3 weight sessions with the interval session, and then just because basically life's just been chaotic the last week or so, I've been a bit frustrated with my training. I've been all over the place with travel. So week 2 was a bit of a chaotic week in terms of business. I'm trying to get this membership site finished up and running, so I was dealing with that. I was on the road a little bit. So I managed to do the interval session, the 3 strength sessions, and then I did a kind of hybrid density, what I call a density session, which was a little bit of threshold work, tempo work, and a lot of easy work in between that. So basically that was some long hill repeats. Now, it was a really frustrating week's training last week for that reason. Did also manage to get in a swim as well, so that was good. So I managed to get in the pool for just 15-20 minutes, just doing easy swims, just doing some technique drills and stuff like that. Got some swimming goals I might want to set next year. Now, obviously, I'm just entering into week 3 now. Start of this week was terrible. I was exhausted yesterday. I'm just on Tuesday, and I've just done my first session of the week. I came in yesterday, and I was absolutely knackered. I spent a hell of a lot of time on my feet yesterday. So by the time I was in London, so by the time I got back to Leeds, a couple of hours on the train, I trekked across London. Then I had to go and get some blood tests done, just general health checkup, nothing major. Then I had to get up to the clinic. Then I started to do my intervals, and just after the first interval was nothing there. So now I'm on to Tuesday, which would normally be my leg session today, but instead what I did was the upper body session from yesterday, and then I've done the intervals on top of that as well, and it felt much better. So I think it was just a little bit of fatigue. So one of the things I've noticed is I tend to do a lot of walking, so I'm usually either on my feet with clients in the clinic, walking to and from work, or trekking about the place. And as I've noticed that my training volumes ramp back up again in terms of frequency, that I'm definitely noticing that I'm feeling a bit more tired. Now, I know it's very low intensity work, and in the ultra running world and general fitness world, you know, lots of activity, lots of time on feet is important and shouldn't be undervalued. But I think if you're trying to get a lot out of your sessions, and now that my longer runs aren't so long, and the rest of my sessions are a lot more kind of focused, targeted, short, 15 to 30 minutes of work, where I'm really trying to push my performance at those higher intensities, that extra time on my feet is causing some extra fatigue. So I'm just trying to be mindful of time on my feet at the moment, actually reducing my general activity so that I can put more energy into my training. So that's something I'm going to watch out for going into the rest of the week. But that's fine. And you know, sometimes we have to be adaptable with our training. Now, obviously, coming off the back of the injury, I've really been very cautious with the running. And like I said before, it's really interesting. So running itself isn't causing too much discomfort. It feels like there's something there, but it's not painful. There's almost like a feeling of weakness and then like a pain response after that. But it then tends to settle down with movement. So for example, if I sit down at the desk for too long and then I move, it hurts for a little bit, but it's the lack of movement and the resting of it, particularly after periods of activity where I seem to get some discomfort. So still trying to figure out what's going on with that really. I've been left in a bit of a quandary now moving forwards. I've got week 3, which is this week, and week 4, which is next week, which takes me up to the 2nd of July. And then on the 9th of July, I'm meant to have my last race of the year, or last race I've got scheduled for the year so far, before I get back into a more pure strength training block for powerlifting competitions, which I think my first one is going to be on the 12th of November. So it gives me a good 3-4 months to get myself recovered from that run, back into a strength block, put some size back on, and get ready for that. That's the reason why I've kind of chosen this block as it is, because it's a nice balance between starting to build those strength foundations again, putting on some size, eating a bit more food, but still keeping enough running volume in there as well, that if I do the event on the 9th of July, that I'm not just going in having not run for 4 weeks. But obviously, the danger of that is running with an injury means that I might be making that worse, but it does seem like it's improving. The question is will it improve enough in time to do a 100-kilometer race? And that is the great unknown. Now, I've always said with doing ultramarathons that I would never go into a race unless I'm 100%. So I am genuinely at a point where I'm thinking of deferring, because I'm not 100% yet. I'm still managing to run and complete my sessions, but there is some discomfort there, although I'm not going to drop that now for recovery, because it is recovering. It's just whether it recovers quickly enough. But also, I could just not run for a few weeks, but I don't think running for a few weeks and then jumping straight back in with 100k untested is a sensible idea. So I am thinking of deferring entry, but if I can't, then I'm going to have to come up with a plan B. So I'm not sure what that plan B is going to be yet. I've got some ideas. I might just turn up and walk it, just have some time on feet. I've got a few clients running there and a few friends, so I might just turn up and support those guys and do a bit and see what happens. I am hesitant to do that though, because I know what I'm like and I don't want to just plow through. And I also don't want to just give myself a get out of jail free card, because I think, it's hard enough to do those kind of events when you're not already thinking of tapping out. So if I am going to do it, I'm going to do something productive with it and go in with a strategy that I know I can adhere to, fingers crossed, unless something else goes wrong. So I've got the rest of this 3rd week to finish. Then I've got my 4th week, which takes me up to the 2nd of July. Then it will be a taper week. And then the week after that, I'm going away on holiday for a week, but I will still be doing some recovery and training work out there as well. So I've made sure I've got a hotel with pool and with a gym. So I will hopefully be doing, no, not hopefully, I will still be doing some training whilst I'm away, probably just a couple of general light recovery sessions. So a bit of swimming, maybe a bit of time on the bike, depending on how messed up my feet are, and definitely some sessions in the gym, just a couple of full body sessions, just to make sure that when I come back, I'm not going straight back into having DOMs. So one of the things that I found in my first week's training, which is why I only did the 2 sessions, even though I wasn't pushing it, wasn't really going to failure, was the muscle soreness I was getting for those is horrendous, and I just don't want that to happen again. Because it's basically, so these sort of shorter 4 or 5 week blocks, having done the 100 miler, failed the 100 miler, then recovered for a week, and then gone into a training block now, I don't want to miss out on any more training time. So I sent an email yesterday asking if I could defer entry to next year. So at this point, if I can't defer entry, I've made the decision that I'm not going to go there and attack the 100 kilometers, try and set some kind of, personal best for myself over those kind of distances, over that kind of terrain. Although, comparing events to events is very difficult, but it seems like quite a fast course from what I can tell. But what I am going to have to do is just come up with a plan B to make it valuable to me in a way that is productive towards my training, but without maybe breaking myself. So at the moment, I'm not entirely sure what my plan B is going to be. I could just go and treat it like a walk for time on feet, go and see some people, go and hang out, go and support people if I can. However, am I going to be happy with that to just walk 100 kilometers? What does that do to adding to my goals for the rest of the year? It doesn't really. The other alternative would be to treat it almost like a training run, but obviously a supported training run, where I can go out, I can run what I can, push myself as far as I can, and then if I start to get any pain or discomfort, then I can just drop out there and just treat it like a training run, which again isn't ideal because I don't like having DNFs, even though it would be a conscious thing to do. So at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. At this point, a lot depends on whether I can defer it, and a lot depends on what happens with my hip and my knee over the next few weeks. So what happens this weekend on this week's training run is really going to determine what the plan B is going to look like if I can't defer entry. So that run this weekend is probably going to be just 20 to 30k, very, very easy. and just see how I feel afterwards. Now, if I can get 30k out of my legs without any pain, any discomfort, any reaction this weekend, then that puts me in good stead to at least treat the 100k as a 50k, get to 50k, and then make a decision from there dependent on what my targets are, and really push that 50k pace and at least get something out of it, even if I don't feel I've got the full 100k in me. So yeah, everything's a bit all over the place at the moment because of coming off the GB Ultra 100, trying to get back into training, feel like I'm getting some momentum back, feel like I'm recovering from this injury, but now I've got this other event on the horizon, which I'm not entirely sure the approach I'm going to go with because I'm not entirely sure how my injury is going to feel. And also it feels like just starting to get some momentum in my strength training, just starting to get some momentum into my endurance, just starting to really restructure my life and my nutrition, get that grounded and solid again in relation to this training block. And now I've got this event in the way, and then I've got a holiday the week after that as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but we adapt, we overcome. So I think really where I'm at the moment, and the only things I can focus on if I was going to look at this idea of controlling my controllables for this next few weeks, is still doing my rehab work, still listening to my body with the runs, not pushing myself too hard, sticking to my pacings, test run this weekend to see how the hip and knee's doing after that and the reaction I get from it, which will determine my plan B. But then really the main lesson from this block so far, and something I'm going to have to carry forward, particularly as I start to go into a more pure strength block with some endurance work, is that I want to make sure that I have enough energy and manage my fatigue sufficiently in order to be progressing my strength at a much more significant rate, which for me, in terms of the nature of the work that I do, is quite difficult. But there are definitely things in terms of the amount of walking that I do where I'm just going to have to become what might be perceived as a little bit lazier. So basically the general advice that I need to follow in order to conserve energy and reduce fatigue is the opposite of what I would tell most people for weight management or fat loss, which is, for that I would say become more inefficient, spend more time on your feet, be more active. For me, it's you need that energy to go into your training and your recovery. So therefore what we need to do is start looking at ways to reduce activity on a day-to-day basis so that all your energy can go more specifically into your training. Right guys, thanks for tuning in. If that was useful to you, just interested in what I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. And next week's video training update, will probably be looking at what I'm actually going to do over the next few weeks once I've got some clarity about how my body is feeling after this Saturday's long training run. Right folks, thanks for tuning in. Look after yourselves. Peace.